Hey everybody, hope everyone is doing well. It's been a while since I've been doing a video. I've been super busy. I'm super tired, but I just wanted to put something out because it's been a while. So anyway, I went out today for an hour just before I picked up my kids and I came across this beautiful Kingfisher. Now I took out my D500 and my Nikon 500mm PF 5.6. I hadn't used them for ages. I wanted to get some diving kingfishers. There was one kingfisher that I managed to take a few shots for, and he landed on a perch quite close to me, hung over this fence. I managed to get pretty close, and looking at the shot now just reminds me how much I like the images from the D500. Even though it's an old camera and I hardly ever use it, and it's nowhere near as fast as my OM1, there is just something about the images. I just think they pop more. There's maybe slightly more feather detail in my D500 images, I think, if I'm being really critical. So I've just done the edit, and my last step is I was just going to add a little bit of sharpening via Topaz. So I really like the Topaz product. I've got Topaz Denoise, AI Gigapixel, and Topaz Sharpen, and they are all really great programs. But when I use Sharpen, just to add a little bit of sharpening to a final image, it often adds these red artifacts, and maybe I'm doing something wrong, but I really don't like them. This is a blue bird, beautiful bird. It's already very sharp, so I only want to add just a tiny little bit of selective sharpening, but I don't want these red artifacts that it adds. I'll show you what I mean. So here we are in Bridge, and here are the pictures that I took of the Kingfisher, and as you can see, it perched pretty close to me. Now where's the picture the picture I chose to edit was this one. Now it's not perfect, the bird was close, there was lots of nice detail, as you can see, loads of detail there. That's the raw file. Let me just see what I was at. I was f5.6 wide open, 800th of a second, plus 3 exposure compensation, ISO 1000. I often just add exposure compensation to lighten the background, but at the same time I'm very conscious of that white area around the neck. That blows out so easily with kingfishers. Because the sun was behind, was pretty diffused, the light, I felt that I was probably okay. If there's a lot of sunlight, you've got to be careful of that white. It easily overexposes and you lose all the detail. So anyway, that was, as you can see, that was the raw file, but I didn't like the fact that the beak, I didn't like this branch here. I knew I was going to crop. I didn't like this stuff. So I did a few bits and bobs, not too long, with the edit to get it to how I wanted. So here's the final edit in Photoshop. So there's the final edit, and I'm quite happy with how it's come out. Now I put it through, at the very beginning, I put it through DXO Pure Raw 2, just to get rid of the noise. Now I always, when I use Pure Raw, I never apply sharpening, so I always do it with 0 sharpening. But of course it's AI, so it does add sharpening anyway when it reduces the noise. As you can see, this is a beautiful image that really does pop, and if I'm honest, I think it probably looks better than similar shots I've taken with my OM1. I've also taken shots of a similar distance to Kingfishers of my OM1. They also come out nice, but I just think there's a little bit more depth, a little bit more pop with this particular shot. The light was good, I must say. As you can see, they are beautiful birds. So I did the edit, and then I thought at the end what I would do is apply some sharpening through Topaz. And what I usually do is I go into Topaz, I apply the sharpening, and then I make a layer mask and then invert it. So what it does is it goes back to this original image before I apply the sharpening. And then on the layer mask, I can take a brush and then I can choose, make it bigger here, I can choose which part of the image I want to sharpen, and I just touch on it at a very low opacity, and I just sort of increase some sharpening, maybe over the eye, maybe over the wings, without touching the background. So that's how I usually apply it at the end of an edit, usually just to slightly add a bit of pop. Anyway, on this occasion, I went into Topaz Sharpen, and I'll show you now. But I didn't really like any of the options I was getting. I used to have the original version of Topaz, and it only had about 2 or 3 settings, and I actually much preferred that. Now it's got too many. I don't really know where to go. But if you just look here, hopefully you can see on the screen here. Where it go full screen. Right, so you can see here. So if I go to standard, that has added a lot of sharpening. And if I click on it, that goes back to the original. So as you can see, that's nice and blue. The colors of the feathers are blue. With the sharpening, it goes white and red. I really don't like that. Let's try the second one. Motion blur, normal. Nice and blue. Now, again, horrible, really white. That doesn't look natural at all. It has a added sharpening around here. I mean, that looks almost like moire. I mean, that's just way over. Motion blur, very noisy. How does that look? Again, it's blue at the start. Again, it becomes white. Motion blur, very blurry. Blue, wow, that's super white, unusable. Out of focus, normal, it's blue, and it becomes really red. And these are often happens. Now, this is a blue bird. There's no red in the plumage here. And that's just totally unnatural. There's the original. You've got all this red extra stuff here I don't want. Out of focus, very noisy. Again, reds and whites in here, no good. Out of focus, very blurry. What happened? Did something happen? Yeah, it's slightly changed. That's not too bad. That's kept, at least that's still relatively blue, but it has added a little bit of, I don't know, some extra white. Too soft, normal. No, that's very subtle. I mean, I don't even know if that's worth it because I don't know if I can see any differences there. Maybe a little bit around here. Too soft, very noisy. Again, slight change. Again, a little bit lighter here. I don't like. I don't want to distract from this beautiful blue. That's the signature of a common kingfisher, that cobalt blue color. I don't want to lose any of that. And then again, that's gone super white and weird. So now I'm probably doing something wrong. I don't know all these settings. I could probably change, I don't know all that stuff. But basically, just using these ones, this is obviously an auto. What does it do if I do auto? Wow, it's horrible. I mean, just don't do it. Just don't do it. So what have we learned from that is, what we've learned is close without saving. I am not going to use any sharpening. Now, as I said, DXO Pure Raw, even with no sharpening applied, will add a little bit of sharpening. But I personally don't think I need to add any extra sharpening to this. So I haven't actually added any sharpening officially. DXO Pure Raw has probably added some, but I like it as it is. So this is a case where I've got this beautiful blue bird. I don't want any extra white or red artifacts onto my bird. So Topaz can be great in many situations. It can certainly help a very underexposed, noisy image. It can especially denoise especially Topaz denoise can really help. But in this case, too much sharpening is too much of a good thing. So I'm going to leave it as is and not use Topaz sharpening for this image. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Sorry about the random nature of the video, but I was conscious that I wanted to put something out. And just to show that just because you have the AI sharpening software available, you don't necessarily need to use it every time. I think this is good as is. And as you can see, the D500 still produces wonderful images. Thanks so much for watching. See you on the next one. Bye.